working in a simple test project. Only thing in this project so far is just this call out. We're going to work a little bit with manually added animation keyframe. And this particular clip, which is just a call out again, is 12 seconds long. So at the 8-second point, I'm going to put the playhead. The clip is selected. I'm going to use Shift A. That adds an animation keyframe. Now I'm going to grab the short end here and pull it back to the 4-second point. So basically I'm saying that this keyframe is going to be 4 seconds long, or the animation process will be 4 seconds. Now an easy way to get your head around manually used animation keyframes is to think of it as a 3-part process. From this section to the left, or the area before the keyframe is in play, I call that the before section. Conversely, the section of the timeline that spans the animation action, think of it as the during action, during the animation activity. And at the right side, from the end of the animation to the end of the clip or wherever you split it, think of that as the after action. Now, even though we have a keyframe here, if we scrub the timeline, nothing happens because we haven't added any animation effects. Notice with the clip selected, there are a lot of properties in the upper right corner. We go to this guy. You see we can change properties for rotation, 3 axes. We can also change the size and the opacity. And over here we can also fool with the color, etc. Pretty much with an animation keyframe, you can do all of that at the same time if you want to. By way of example, we know that in the before section of this keyframe, we are dealing with this size call out and it's blue. I'm going to put the playhead at the end of the animation, and now I'm going to adjust the call out properties. I'm going to change its scale, so make him bigger. And at the end of the keyframe, or at the 8-second mark, I'm going to change this guy's color. We're going to go from this blue to, let's say, this orange. So there should be a transition from blue to orange across the span. And if we move the playhead, he gets smaller, which is where we started, small blue, large orange. Now let's say that during the transition, we wanted to also change this guy's orientation. Currently he's horizontal. Let's make him look vertical. So with the end of the transition point selected, I'm going to change the Z value to 90 degrees, tab key. So now if we move the playhead, we're going from blue horizontal to orange vertical and bigger. Now let's suppose we also wanted to make it move at the end. With the end selected, I'm going to just grab the call out and slide him over here. And now if we scrub, we get all of that in one action. And we can go back to the beginning section here, the before zone, and I'm going to move this guy way over here. So we're going to go from up to there to there. All this is being accomplished in one animation keyframe. And we'll go back to the end here. And let's suppose at this point here, I'm going to rotate him around the vertical axis. So we're going to go 180 degrees, tab key, and we flipped him. Getting kind of fancy here. So we'll go back. And that's what's happening. So a little practice, you can make anything do a lot of fancy stuff. And you can also add keyframes in the middle to change where things go, and add different ones on the same clip. The previous discussion focused on changing the properties on the object that we're animating. We can also change the behavior of an animation keyframe. In this particular example, I have a simple animation keyframe, and the only thing that happens is we move the call out from left to right. Now, if you right click on the keyframe, you have an option here called Enable Easing. Right now, the default value is always set to auto. Auto basically acts exponential, and what I mean by that, if I play it, you'll see that it accelerates and then deaccelerates as it gets across the animation keyframe. However, one option that I prefer using all the time is called linear. That way, if you play it again, the speed is constant across the entire keyframe. It can get tricky doing a lot of different animations at the same time if they're either running on auto or exponential, and oftentimes setting all the keyframes to use linear easing will make it easier to achieve the effect you desire.